Hey there, nation. Welcome to the show. We help you to play miniatures wargaming on a budget. It is I, Commander CheapSkate, and we are back with another edition of the Spoils of War. This time it is a beer review. It is a beer review of New Belgium's Voodoo Ranger Juicy Haze IPA. Once again, these videos are dedicated to my buddy, my brother in arm across the seas over in Iraq, to Big Puka. This one's dedicated to you, buddy. So once again, this is a beer review. Last time we did one of these, we did a cigar review on a Gilberto Olive Reserva Blanc. So now we're moving on to the beers now. So it's a beautiful Sunday afternoon. Sun's out, it's nice and warm outside. Best way to cool down is with a nice, good beer. So as you can see, it comes in a bottle, 12 ounce bottle. Nice and dark color, so that way it preserves the flavor, so that it doesn't get skunky or anything like that. It loses its flavor when it's being refrigerated. So awesome part on that part. We have our Aperture Labs pint glass to drink it out of, as well as a bottle opener to crack this bad boy open. So we're going to talk about this beer real quick. Just a quick thing when it comes to beers real quick. I'm not sure if what kind of beers you drink or even if you're a fan of beer, but the way I see it, a beer is a beer. So if you want to drink anywhere from Coors to Buzz Light, all the way to the most artistically created, microbrewery, nano brewery, whatever. Your drink is your drink. So, I don't judge that way. I don't judge anybody for what kind of beers they drink or don't drink, whatever the case may be. I just like craft beers because, I look for different flavor profiles, and that's why I kind of appreciate when I go about doing that. So for all those guys out there who want to be beer snobs about the beer you're drinking or trying out, guys, don't be like that. Just enjoy the drink for what it is. That's all I gotta say about that. So that being said, ladies and gentlemen, we're gonna crack this bad boy open, pour inside this pint glass, and go through the review real quick. So here we go. All right, so we just poured our Voodoo Ranger Juicy Haze IPA into our pint glass. Let's just take a look at it. So as you can see here, it's a nice, beautiful orange color. It's got a nice little froth to it because it is IPA. It's also kind of opaque too, if you notice that as well. In fact, if you want to check for opaqueness of a beer, if you just put your hand behind your pint glass, you can see your fingers or not, it tells you how clear it is. In this case, it's kind of opaque. It also makes kind of sense too, because this is an unfiltered IPA. That is why it's called Juicy Haze IPA. That's the reason why I got that kind of like opaque look to it. So pretty cool stuff so far. It's unfiltered. So with that being said, let's go and talk about some of the profiles about this thing. Just to let you guys know, this does have 7.5 ABV for the beer, so it's a 7.5%. So it's pretty not as heavy as like a barley wine or anything like that, but it still got a little bit of a punch to it. So keep that in mind. I do know that the yeast that they use in this is an American Hefeweizen, which also makes kind of sense because the malt they primarily use in this is a wheat malt. So it is kind of like a IPA made with like an Indian Pale Ale that's kind of made with wheat, so that is kind of cool. So it makes it kind of like have a different flavor profile as well. They also use a lot of Citra, Cascade. I think they also use Centennial, and I think Nugget hops too as well, which is also important because, and as anyone who drinks IPAs might know, when you mix hops into an IPA, it's the hoppiness that gives it its particular flavor profile. So it's a nice, beautiful orangish color, very opaque. Let's give this bad boy a sip and try it out. Alright, so let's take this beer real quick and kind of just do like a little swish around a little bit. Swirl around a bit a little bit so that way it gets a little frothy, so that way you can smell the aromas. Let's see what kind of aromas we get off this bad boy. Alright, right off the bat, you get that really good citrus smell off of it. It is an IPA, so when they dry hop hops inside of a pale ale like this, and one of the first things you get is that aroma of like citrus fruits, so primarily orange, lemons, that kind of thing. Because it is kind of like a wheat, there is kind of like a little lemony scent to it, in my opinion. So that kind of helps it out a little bit as well. You also get some kind of like tropical fruit smells here for a second. Let me try that again real quick. Yeah, definitely some tropical smells in there as well. Something like pineapple, for example, is where I'm getting like a lot of scents off as well, which is kind of nice as well because with the hop level, that's once again that citrus smell is what you're kind of looking for. So with the smell done, let's go ahead and give it a taste and see what we think. Oh yeah, that's some good stuff right there. When you guys try a beer, what you do is you take a sip, you kind of swish it around, so that way you get a full flavor on it. Ooh, that was very nice. Right off the bat, the Juicy Haze IPA has got a very, very sweet upfront taste at first. So you get a lot of like that citrusy, like pineapple, orange flavor like I was talking about earlier. Let me take another sip of this real quick. Oh yeah. And then right afterwards, after that initial sweetness, you also got that like that bitterness that you get at the back of the tongue. That's kind of like the IPA, that pale ale has got that really strong, you know, kind of semi-bitter afternote right at the back of it. So you got really nice citrusy flavor up front, nice bitterness in the back as well. As for the mouthfeel on it, you know, it feels actually pretty good. It's nice and light. It is kind of a medium beer. It does have a 7.5 ABV, so because of that, it is a little bit more dense in terms of its alcohol content. So you do get a little bit of that in the flavor as well. But the mouthfeel is really nice. You know, it's kind of a nice smooth flavor. Definitely something you could be sipping through throughout the entire afternoon or evening or whatever. Very, very delicious beer right off the front. In fact, I'm going to take another sip of this bad boy real quick. Yeah, a little bit of that little citrusy tang on the afterbite as well. So you got the sweet citrus notes in the front, a little bit of bitterness at the end, just a little bit of a bite, like a citrusy bite from that, the back of that as well. Overall, it's a very nice mouthfeel, very nice beer as well. All right, so just give you a little bit more of an example about what this beer is about. This is actually made by a New Belgium Brewery is the name of the company that actually makes this, the name of the brewery. It is a brewery that's located in Fort Collins, Colorado. Now, you may or may not be familiar with New Belgium. Their most popular product they make is Fat Tire. Fat Tire is kind of like a craft beer that they make. It's one of their most, it's like their flagship beer. It's what they're really known for a lot. That's the beer that's got a red bicycle on it. It's got kind of like a biscuity kind of flavor in my opinion. And so as of late, New Belgium, especially for like the last 5 years or so, have really been kind of pushing their game, experimenting with different types of Indian Pale Ales. That's what the IPA stands for. It stands for Indian Pale Ale. And they originally started off with the Ranger IPA, which is a very good one as well. They also branched out this new series called the Voodoo Ranger series that they use, using different flavor types and different hops, as well as flavor combinations to kind of create their new line of Indian Pale Ales. And this is their latest one that they've actually have. So it's really delicious. In fact, I'm going to have another sip because, that's the nice thing about doing a beer review. You can sip these bad boys up. So, in case you're wondering what an Indian Pale Ale is and what that actually means, it actually comes back from the days of colonial England, back when the United Kingdom was actually a colonizing power. It had military forces all over the world. I think it's something around 90% of the world's countries belonged to England at one time, a part of the British Empire, especially during the Victorian Age. And the reason why it's called Indian Pale Ale is because in the British Army, when you joined up with the military, you actually got a ration of alcohol every day. Back in the day, it was kind of like a bonus to being part of the military. In fact, a lot of people would join the British military army, especially just because they got a daily ration of alcohol, especially in the Navy as well as in the Army back in the day. I forgot what the exact numbers are. I think you got like so much pints of ale, or it was rum, or some other spirit in equivalency to it. The only problem was that when you had soldiers who were stationed in India, British soldiers in India, the problem was every single time they send over beer or ale across the ocean, because of the hot temperatures, it would spoil. And so because that would go really bad. So in order to kind of solve that problem, the British decided to, when they created their ale, after they end up brewing it and putting it inside the barrels and the kegs to ship overseas, what they would do is they take additional handfuls or scoopfuls of hops, just dry hop pellets, and just drop it right in the middle of the barrel and then seal it up and ship it. The idea was supposed to be that the hops would help preserve the beer, so by the time it arrived to India and in that tropical climate there, the beer wouldn't go bad and you could drink it. As a side effect of that dry hop process, is what it's known as, it actually changed the flavor profile of the beer, the ale, as it transported across the oceans to India. It gave it a more citrusy, kind of aromatic flavor to it, and thus created the Indian Pale Ale as it was known. Soldiers, of course, in England, from England and India, of course, developed a taste for it, because that was the only beer they had their hands on. And so when they went back home to England and they wanted the same kind of ale that they had when they were in India, they basically couldn't get it because they weren't doing the same thing in England at the time. And eventually, though, a couple brewers figured out what was making the flavor taste different with the dry hopping process, and then bam, Indian Pale Ale was created. Traditionally, especially in England, Indian Pale Ale is also known as kind of like a soldier's beer, because it gets its roots from back in the day when the soldiers were stationed in India. Soldiers, of course, would drink it. They developed a flavor for it. So traditionally, it's also known as a soldier's beer, in England especially. Myself included, I really like Indian Pale Ales. They're absolutely delicious. I love that citrusy, hoppy flavor that they have. So whenever someone has an IPA to offer or an Indian Pale Ale to offer, I always, of course, take them up on it. So just a little bit of like knowledge for you guys in case you don't know what an Indian Pale Ale is. So yeah, very delicious beer, very awesome offering from New Belgium Brewery with their Voodoo Ranger Juicy Haze IPA. Absolutely delicious. Okay, so that's good to do for this one, folks. As always, please feel free to like, comment, and or subscribe. Your guys' input is always appreciated, as always. Also, check us out on Facebook, Instagram, Google+, as well as blogger.com for all the latest grades about our hobby news. I'm going to sit back and enjoy the rest of this beer for this afternoon. Big Puka, if you're watching this, buddy, this one's for you, dude. So take it easy. You guys stay classy. Peace out.